In today's video, I'm going to be inventing something completely new that you have never seen before using nothing but a 3D printer, my brain, and a set of 3 mechanisms. However, the twist is that those mechanisms will have to be chosen at complete random, as I'm going to be spinning a wheel in order to determine them. So stick around to find out what I ended up designing with the most random set of mechanisms. This is episode 2 of Invention Shuffle. Alright, so I've got a total of 10 different mechanisms that I could potentially use. And as I said, I get 3. So let's see what our first one is. Okay, an iris mechanism. You know, I actually used that for my first Invention Shuffle video. So I'm pretty familiar with it. Linkage. I'm not familiar with that one though, so I don't really know how I'm gonna mix those two. We'll see though, we'll see. Alright, third and last one. We got a... Ooh, that was close to a scissor lift. We got a rack and pinion though. I think this could work actually. Alright, that's enough out of this guy because there is no way that within 5 seconds of choosing the mechanisms that I'd have any idea what I could make. But hey, it's to be expected because any good idea or let alone invention is going to require a lot of brainstorming, a lot of time, and most importantly of all, more brainstorming. So let's take a look at the mechanisms that we actually got. Starting off with the iris mechanism. It uses rotational movement in order to contract and expand this inner hole. And moving on to the Saurus linkage, we also got some rotational movement in these joints, and we also got some linear motion going on with the sort of top piece that you see here. And lastly, we of course got the rack and pinion mechanism, which also has linear and rotational movement coming from both the rack and the pinion. So now the question is, how are we going to combine them all? Well, you see, there's some rotational movement going on between all of them. So we know that maybe, just maybe, there could be some rotational movement that's shared between all of them. So, for example, let's look at these joints from the Saurus linkage. We could perhaps attach a pinion to one of those joints and then use a maybe rack to drive it. Or something that might look even better is attaching a pinion to the iris mechanism and then using the rack in order to drive the opening and closing of that iris mechanism. And if we wanted to move even further, we could attach the Saurus linkage to the rack because they're both moving linearly. But honestly, I don't know if that's the best idea because I don't see any practical use of doing that. So after an hour or so of brainstorming, I started getting closer to a final solution. So overall, I'm going to tell you my final idea. It's going to be some sort of pencil case that's also going to collapse into a pencil holder. So that, you know, you could carry all your pencils, and then once you get to your office or your desk, you can just collapse it, and then it turns into a pencil holder. Hold it, boom, 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 you can carry it around, and then it collapses into a pencil holder when you're at your desk. Pretty cool.
Heart beating like a drum set, breathe, stretch, let it go. Everybody need a refresh, go. Yeah, 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 come on, let's go. I don't know what comes next, but I couldn't care less. I refuse to feel stress. There's no fear in my chest. Hear the boom from my steps. Walk away from the pain I've been through. This feeling I'm feeling is brand new. This the moment I break through. I don't know what comes next, but I couldn't care less. I refuse to feel stress. There's no fear in my chest. Hear the boom from my steps. Walk away from the pain I've been through. This feeling I'm feeling is brand new. This the moment I break through.
Alright, look. I know what y'all thinking. Isn't this thing a bit too chunky to be holding just 6 pencils? And you know what? You're right. That's on me. But I'm already ahead of you. Because you see these slots right here. they're gonna have some slidable components to go into as pockets to hold more things. I'm talking paper clips. I'm talking sticky notes. I'm talking erasers. And you know what? Why not make it so that a bottle could fit in there? Okay, you know what? Maybe not a water bottle, but it just makes sense for office stuff to go in here, right? Because if this thing's gonna go in an office, it's gonna need to hold office stuff. Case justified. So that's gonna be the final touch before we go into the final reveal.